We are back with the Dark MAGA podcast, where we go over long form video, breaking news, and well, anything we want. And we get to be as crazy and as psycho as we want, which is always fun. But be careful, because we are on YouTube, also known as ScrewTube. Also, CommuTube is what I'm calling it, because, well, they always censor us, silence us, and well, they don't want the truth to get out to the actual people. And they'll tell us there's no shadow banning happening. They'll tell us, oh, we don't have the ability to throttle your channel and all these other things. And well, we say BS to that. We know what they're capable of doing. Why? Well, we saw what they're capable of doing with Facebook and TikTok and X and YouTube. But don't worry. Yeah, we know you guys. Yeah. They'll tell us, oh, we're not going to throttle or shadow ban channels. Give me a break. You banned people. You censored people. You've been doing it for decades. Stop lying. We're not idiots. But it's good to see all of you. Well, I heard that she went off. And as I mean Karoline Leavitt, went off on Jen Psaki, which I loved, because we said a few things about Jen Psaki this morning, did we not? So without further ado, folks, here's the White House press briefing. Let's roll it.
Good to see all of you. I want to begin today's briefing by addressing the horrific shooting that took place yesterday at the Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a deranged shooter opened fire during morning mass, killing an innocent 8-year-old and 10-year-old. 14 other children and 3 adults were also injured during this horrible tragedy. This was the first morning mass of the school year for these beautiful, innocent children, and this sacred religious service was desecrated by an evil monster. We are all eternally grateful to the heroic law enforcement officers and first responders whose courage and swift response aided all of those impacted by this horrible tragedy. As Director Kash Patel confirmed yesterday, the FBI is currently investigating this shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. President Trump signed a proclamation yesterday following his call with the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, acknowledging the victims and their families and directing flags to be flown at half-mast. President Trump and the First Lady encouraged the entire nation to join all of us in praying for the victims and their families as they face unimaginable grief and loss. The White House and the FBI will continue to provide further updates as they become available. I also have a quick scheduling announcement for you today. The President will travel to New York City on September 22nd to address the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, September 23rd. On another matter, as Americans make their labor...
I agree. Yeah, Blackbird, you're right. Is it me, or does she even sound emotional talking about it? Yeah, she does sound emotional. I thought she was... It's funny that you wrote that. I was thinking the same thing, that she sounds a little choked up. I don't know if she's going to break down here or not. I mean, it's terrible.
Day weekend
anytime it happens, it doesn't have to happen just to a Catholic school. I mean, anytime there's a mass shooting or something, it's just awful. It's god awful.
Plans, they will be able to enjoy 5-year low gas prices thanks to President Trump fully unleashing American energy dominance. President Trump ended Joe Biden's Green New Scam policies and is delivering on his promise to make America affordable again.
That's right.
These savings at the pump are giving everyday American families more room in their budgets at the end of each month, which is the exact opposite of what we saw under the previous administration.
Fun fact, this is a little bit of a personal finance fact for you. Did you know that even though when gas prices decline, that people spend the same amount of money on gas? It's a psychological thing. It's actually really fascinating. So for example, what they'll do, I forgot what the study was on this. When gas prices drop, what people will do is either they'll fill up their gas tank more, or they'll actually spend it on a higher quality gas. So rather than using that fungible money and putting it in other places like chiseling down your debt or paying off your credit cards or student loans or whatever, many Americans, the vast majority of them psychologically, will spend even more on gas, the same amount of gas, or a more expensive gas, but they'll keep that budget line item the same. It's a very weird psychological thing that Americans do in terms of the way they spend their money. But I thought you guys would find that interesting.
And as we commemorate Labor Day this year, we finally have a president who fights and delivers for the American worker every single day. President Trump believes that American workers are the heart and soul of our economy and our national identity, which is why he's championed an agenda that puts them first always. For decades, the hardworking men and women of our country who built the greatest nation in world history were sold out by selfish, greedy, short-sighted globalists who put our country on a path to economic and cultural ruin. They hollowed out our factories and towns and betrayed the American working class by shipping jobs overseas and importing millions of low-wage migrants to replace American workers. Under President Trump, this national disgrace is over. American workers are, once again, being put at the center of national trade policy, and the dignity of American labor is being defended. As a result, President Trump has already brought in nearly $10 trillion in new private and foreign investments so that the top businesses in the world can create high-paying jobs in America and hire American workers to fill them. In fact, since President Trump took office, the economy has added more than 500,000 new jobs to the workforce. In a stark reversal from the Biden administration, all of that job creation has been driven by private sector growth, and all employment gains have gone to native-born Americans. Wages for blue-collar workers are now rising at the fastest rate in the past 60 years.
There you go.
And the average American worker has already seen a $500 wage increase this year alone. Thanks to the largest middle tax cuts ever signed into law by President Trump, with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, Americans in all 50 states will keep more of their hard-earned money. The average American taxpayer will see a tax cut of nearly $4,000 because of these pro-growth provisions, according to analysis from the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation.
I like that.
In other news, President Trump continues to deliver on his promise to restore law and order to our nation's capital. Since President Trump's intervention, there have been more than 1,283 arrests right here in the District of Columbia. Total crime in DC is down 19%, and violent crime is down 30%. Carjackings in the district are down 67%. Homicides are down 57%. Robberies are down 40%. Motor vehicle thefts are down 32%. And assaults with dangerous weapons are down 23%. And property crime is down 18%. These numbers prove the president's bold actions to make D.C. safe and beautiful again are working, just like he said they would. And that's why on Monday, the president took additional action to sign an executive order taking steps to ensure that cashless bail in Washington, D.C. is eliminated. For too long, D.C.'s reckless cashless bail policies have allowed dangerous criminals to be quickly released, which endangers everyone who lives in and visits our wonderful capital. No cash bail has also foolishly forced law enforcement to repeatedly arrest the same offenders over and over again, only for them to be released back into our nation's capital. This is the definition of insanity, and the president is seeking to end it. He also...
I just want to pause it there because I want to show you something because it connects to this. So Donald Trump is trying to make America safe again, right? And he's sending in the National Guard, or he did, to D.C., and he's cleaning up the mess, as you just all saw. Well, just guess, Patriots, who's also sending in a bunch of law enforcement all of a sudden. Just all of a sudden. Mind you, I lived in this state my entire life and have never seen him do this. All of a sudden, I heard this on the radio on my way home from work. All of a sudden, this little shithead, Gavin Newsom, is now surging in law enforcement to address crime statewide in California, facing pressure from President Trump, who could deploy to blue cities in the region. All of a sudden, he wants to make California safe again. Weird, right?
Effort that will now take shape on border division down in San Diego. We're going to advance this effort down in LA to other parts of the Central Valley, not just limited to Bakersfield, in partnership with Mayor Go there in San Bernardino. And we're going to expand this operation in a collaborative that continues to include the cities and counties, our partners in the Sheriff's Office and local law enforcement agencies. We continue as well to work with the federal partners. I'll remind you, in San Francisco, working with the Biden administration, that effort.
Yeah, you're right, Betts. He's a copycat. You know who was also a copycat? Joe Biden. Because Democrats have no thoughts. They have no ideas. But hold on. Hold on, you guys. Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, said that when you increase police presence and you utilize the National Guard, it's racist. Yes. No. That's not our words. That's not anybody else. That's Brandon Johnson and the Democrat Party's words. So does that instantly make this guy right here racist? Because that's what I was told. We're all racist for just wanting to get criminals off the street. Yeah. Now, I don't think it has anything to do with race whatsoever, but that's what Brandon Johnson says. He says it's racist. Matter of fact, there's people flooding my inboxes on TikTok calling me racist. Yeah, it's crazy. I know. So all of a sudden, I was told there was no crime. I was told the crime wasn't bad in California. Why would you need to do this, Gavin? Why would you need to all of a sudden increase the presence of police officers and men and women in uniform when your crime is fine? You're the greatest governor that's ever existed. You want to run for president in 2028, which is why you're traveling everywhere and doing this stupid ass press conference behind a desk that, well, let's be frank, it looked like they just put in there last minute. Why? No, it's a great state, you guys. There's no crime here. There's no need to do this. Oh, just accept we've been asking for it for literally a decade. The guy sucks. I can't wait. This guy's out next year. Oh my God, thank you. I have to deal with this idiot for one more year unless he actually gets in the office of the presidency. Then you all get to deal with this idiot. And yeah, he's an idiot. I'm telling you guys, I promise you, I don't throw that word around loosely. I really don't. You'll hear it come out of my mouth a lot, but it's only for specific people. AOC, idiot. Bernie Sanders, idiot. Gavin Newsom, idiot. Adam Schiff, idiot. Jasmine Crockett, idiot. Rashida Tlaib, idiot. Ilhan Omar, idiot. Joe Biden, idiot. Kamala Harris, idiot. A lot of people that are politicians in California, idiots. It's true. If I thought I was wrong, I wouldn't say it. Idiots.
Signed a separate executive order addressing the crime emergency in DC by instructing the National Park Service to hire additional United States Park Police officers to support public safety, and directing the U.S. Attorney's Office for DC to hire additional prosecutors to focus solely on violence and property crimes. So
it doesn't matter your approval rating. Joe Biden is a house plant. You know what I mean? Joe Biden was drilling into a drip tree on the beaches of Delaware, and they freaking put that guy in office. Look, I pray, man. I'm with you. I hope that he doesn't run. I just don't know who else they have in the bag. I mean, who else are they going to put forward? They have nobody, man. I don't know who else they're thinking of. I really don't know. Jeff's here. Jeff's over at YouTube. Help me, thank you, God.
While liberal Democrats across the country continue to double down on their failed soft on crime approach, the American people, including local DC leadership, business owners, and residents, are rallying behind President Trump's crime crackdown. According to new polling, 81% of Americans say crime is a major problem in large cities across the country. Yep. And a clear majority of Americans believe the president's actions are justified and necessary to reduce crime in these cities.
Yes, sir.
Indu Bhatia, who runs a liquor store a half mile from the White House here just down the street, is one of those Americans who are grateful for President Trump's public safety push. Indu recently told the New York Post that her store was robbed so many times that they had to spend exorbitant sums of money on security, jeopardizing her family's financial future.
Y'all remember that clip where I think it was CNN was in like a Walgreens or something like that, and while they were filming the segment in Walgreens, it had been robbed twice since they've been there? Y'all remember that clip from like a year or two ago? They're like, yeah, they're being robbed again. When we were actually getting our stuff set up, they were already robbed once, and now they're being ransacked again. And Democrats like, woo, we love this.
Thanks to President Trump's strong action, Indu said, quote, "All of my employees, including me, we feel much safer, and even our customers feel really happy when they walk into our store." And just yesterday, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser credited President Trump for surging federal law enforcement personnel and said neighborhoods, quote, "feel and are much safer." We thank Mayor Bowser for her cooperation and her willingness to help us make D.C. safe and beautiful. This entire effort has vindicated what President Trump and law and order advocates have been saying for years. And this is our message to Americans in Democrat-run cities nationwide.
Preach it, girl.
Decline is a choice. You don't have to live in constant fear of being robbed, raped, or murdered. Your leaders are lying to you, and they have been failing you for decades. The President Trump approach of upholding law and order by letting our brave men and women in blue actually do their jobs
Which is
to
literally his
aggressively fight crime works. In just a few weeks, President Trump has done...
By the way, everything that Trump's doing isn't like genius in this, right? Like Trump saying, hey, the head police officer of he's like the sheriff of the country going, hey, by the way, law enforcement, go do your job. Which is to what? If they're called law enforcement, what's their job? To enforce the law. So it's funny how Democrats like, oh my God, it's crazy. Like, how could you do this? How could you send in the troops? How could you send in the police officers? Because it's their fucking job. You idiot. Like, what the fuck you mean? Their job is literally to protect and serve as law enforcement to enforce the law against people who are breaking the law. Like the fuck? I don't mean to cuss, I'm sorry, but really. People are that dumb. Yeah. Can't believe that they're arresting somebody. Yeah, well, he just killed somebody. That's usually what happens when you break the law. You get arrested. Welcome to reality. But when I'm telling you, Democrats, they don't live in reality, man. And yes, it's the Democrat Party. If you don't want to be a part of the Democrat Party anymore and attribute yourself with all these psychos on the left that are going deleting children and pretending that they could shapeshift and transform and all this shit, welcome to the Independent Party. Then you're no longer a Democrat. Join the Independent Party or become a Republican, because the Democrats ain't democratic anymore. Boy, oh boy, aren't they not.
And more for DC residents than Democrats did in 50 years. And this can be replicated in other crime-ridden cities across the nation. As President Trump has said, all of these elected officials in charge have to do is pick up the phone and ask for the president and the federal government's help. President Trump doesn't care if they are a Republican or a Democrat leader. He wants Americans to be safe and for every law-abiding American citizen across the country to be able to thrive in their city and in their community. With that, I'll take questions. Here in our new media seat today, we have social media influencer, content creator, Brandon Tatum.
Oh,
Brandon,
no way.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you kick us off?
Caroline,
I've done a couple Instagram lives a while ago, maybe like a year or two ago with Brandon Tatum. Usually they're about, we did some biblical talk. Good for him.
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of everybody that follow me, the millions of people that follow me, I want to say thank you for making a sacrifice and dealing with some of the most disingenuous people on planet Earth at times. I have two questions. The first question is associated with the shooting that occurred the other day. And I want to ask the question of, we know that it's not a gun thing. Any rational person knows it's not a gun thing. We know it's a mental health issue. So I want to know from you, what is President Trump and the White House going to do to address mental health issues around the country associated with these shootings? And the second thing is Chicago. You know, anybody with a connected brainstem knows that Chicago's crime is out of control. And young black men are getting killed, laying dead in the middle of the streets every single day in Chicago.
Where's Black Lives Matter on that? Black men are killing black men left and right. Where's the Black Lives Matter movement, you guys? They got millions of dollars. I love Officer Tatum too. Brandon's great. Where's Black Lives? Look, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to poke the bear. It's a hand to God a genuine question. Where is Black Lives Matter right now? They got millions of dollars in donations. Where are they? Why aren't they out there cleaning up the streets of the predominantly black community? Why are they not out there edging the lawns? I don't know, planting fucking grass and sod, cleaning the streets up, getting those gang members off, getting them jobs, stopping this from happening. Where is it? I'm waiting, still waiting, as is he and everybody else.
No president has addressed any of these issues. And so what is the White House going to do to address issues in their capacity to deal with the conflict and violence in Chicago?
Sure. Well, to your first question about this shooting in Minnesota, right now, the the administration is focused on helping the people of Minnesota. It's been less than a day, of course, since this tragedy happened. We have federal law enforcement on the ground assisting local law enforcement. This investigation is ongoing. There's still a lot of facts to understand about these circumstances, and so we're going to continue to do that. As for Chicago and cracking down on crime, it is a priority of this administration to ensure that American cities are safe again, and I'm so glad that you brought up the crime in Chicago, because we've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ, and the statistics beg to differ. And I'll just share a few of those statistics with all of you. For 13 consecutive years, Chicago has had the most murders of any U.S. city. This is J.B. Pritzker's legacy, by the way. For 7 consecutive years, Chicago has had the highest murder rate among U.S. cities with more than 1 million people. In 2024, just last year, Chicago's murder rate per capita was 3 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 5 times higher than New York City. That's more than double the murder rate in Islamabad and nearly 15 times more than Delhi. Out of Chicago's 147,899 reported crimes this year, that's how many crimes have been reported in Chicago since January 1st.
Sounds like a great place. I don't know about you. Sounds like a lovely place. Yep. I would definitely want to raise a family there. And then you get called an asshole when you call a place a shithole. Well, when you're getting murdered a murder's on every block. It's like a Starbucks. There's a murder on every block. That's a good place to live. It's great. No, it's a very bad place to live. How about that? Yeah, Chicago is not doing well. Thank you, Kathleen, for the $10. Appreciate you. And by the way, Kathleen said none of that money went to our black family and friends. No, of course not. Yeah, I'm curious still where it went. I've heard that somehow it just disappeared. Yeah, I would love for it to go to black families. That's all I care about. By the way, I hate to bring up the race idea, but it's called Black Lives Matter, and it was an organization that was for black people, and I want black people to be okay. And quite frankly, I'm tired of white people killing white people, and I'm tired of black people killing black people. It's common sense. How about everybody just get along and stop killing one another? That easy. I know I'm speaking common sense here. Everybody, please understand that. I'm fully aware of it. But that's where we're at nowadays, where it's not hard to not kill somebody. It's really, I mean, you guys think about how far you have to go out of your way to delete somebody. Think about that. Like all the necessary steps that you would have to take to go do something like that. It's not hard. It's not hard to stay home and just mind your own business and get your shit in a row. I don't understand. Chicago, though, seems, I guess it's not that hard. I guess it's really easy to go out and just delete somebody because it's happening all the time over there. I'm begging, I'm praying, this is real, I am praying that Donald Trump sends in the National Guard like tomorrow, this weekend. I don't know why we're waiting. Because the longer we wait, the more people that just get deleted.
There have only been arrests in 16% of them. These numbers are unacceptable. There have been more illegal guns recovered in Chicago than in New York City and Los Angeles combined. The number of reported motor vehicle thefts last year was more than double the number in 2021. And Chicago has also, just like DC, come under scrutiny over discrepancies in its homicide data reporting. So as bad as these numbers are, perhaps they are even worse. And this is Governor Pritzker's legacy.
Remember, I told you there's a lot of juvenile crime taking place, especially amongst these gang members. And that doesn't always get included in the statistics that she's reading. So, it's way worse than what's being reported. It is way worse. Chicago, I'm going to say it right now, and if I get in trouble for saying it, I don't give a fuck. It's a shithole.
Should put politics aside. He should pick up the phone and call this president, who would be more than happy to do right by law-abiding American residents in the city of Chicago, and we hope that he will. Gabe, and thanks for being here, Brandon. Gabe.
Karoline, thank you.
Hey, if you don't want somebody calling it that way, clean up your streets. Stop killing each other. How about that? By the way, isn't it amazing that I'm the jerk for saying that? Like I'm the one that's in the wrong, not the fact that people are deleting each other, like in the masses over there in Chicago, ransacking stores, looting it, arson, robbery, rapey, schmurdered, serial killers, probably car thefts, arson. I mean, whatever it is. But I'll be the bad guy for saying that it's a bleep hole. Just think about that. Like, think about it. The homeless crisis that's there, defecating on the streets, masturbating in front of your children, trying to trans your kids in schools, the freaking syringes, the drug problem, the gang member problem, the illegal immigration problem, the actual budgeting problem they have there in their state. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm the bad guy for just bringing up the fact of, hey, probably an issue over there. Seems like one, but none of them are the bad guys. Okay.
So much. First on the firing of the CDC director. First,
Sure.
Who will replace her? And then also, overnight, the White House said that she did not align with the president's agenda. Dr. Menard's attorneys say that she refused to rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives and fire dedicated health experts. What specifically did she do wrong?
Look, what I will say about this individual is that her lawyer's statement made it abundantly clear themselves that she was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again. And the secretary asked her to resign. She said she would, and then she said she wouldn't, so the president fired her, which he has every right to do. It was President Trump who was overwhelmingly reelected on November 5th. This woman has never received a vote in her life, and the president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission. A new replacement will be announced by either the president or the secretary very soon, and the president and Secretary Kennedy are committed to restoring trust and transparency and credibility to the CDC by ensuring their leadership and their decisions are more public-facing, more accountable, strengthening our public health system, and restoring it to its core mission of protecting Americans from communicable diseases, investing in innovation to prevent, detect, and respond to future threats. That's the mission of the CDC, and we're going to make sure that folks that are in positions of leadership there are aligned with that mission.
Briefly on another topic, alligator Alcatraz. Last week, a judge on an environmental concerns lawsuit said that
an environmental concerns lawsuit. How often have these judges and the Democrat Party utilized the EPA to do their dirty work? I mean, that's how they allowed millions of people to pour across the border. Was, oh, you're ruining the environment. You mean the sand and dirt out there that nothing grows in? But it's amazing how not a peep from the EPA, not a fucking peep about the steel that's just rotting and rusting into the dirt that Joe Biden let just out there and sit out there in the desert in the dirt. That was fine. But God forbid you put up shipping containers that are brand spanking new and not rotting and not rusting out there in the desert like all the freaking wall that we built or we're going to build. It's always in somebody's favor, and it just so happens to always be in the Democrats' favor. Give me a break. Get rid of the EPA. Why do we have the EPA? Honestly. Oh, you need clean drinking water.
Administration had 60 days to wind down operations there, state officials did. Now, the administration has not been shy in fighting back against what it calls activist judges, but why is it backing down this time?
We're not backing down. We've always said that we are going to continue to fight in the court of law for what's right, because we know that what this administration is doing with respect to all policy, but also immigration policy, is above the books, and we're abiding by our nation's immigration laws. And we think it's despicable that an activist judge has inserted themselves in this migrant detention facility to the point where DHS is now having to relocate these illegal immigrants to other detention facilities around the country. That is an unnecessary burden on the Department of Homeland Security and these agents who should be removing these criminals from our community. That's what the American people elected this president to do. So we've always maintained, Gabe, we're going to comply with court orders, but we're also going to fight back on them on the merits of the law. And DHS is in compliance while we disagree with this decision, and we'll continue to fight it in court. Let's go to...
Hey,
go ahead.
Thanks so much. So just following up on the CDC firing.
Sure.
Are you anticipating other changes there at CDC in addition to that firing? And is the administration going through in a very sort of organized fashion? Is there a task force that's going through high-level appointees?
Dude, what a snoozer. Who cares?
I understand there were a few other individuals who resigned after the firing of Ms. Monarez. One of those individuals wrote in his departure statement that he identifies pregnant women as pregnant people. So that's not someone who we want in this administration anyway. So if people are not...
Talk about mental health crisis. Jeez. By the way, she never answered Officer Tatum's first question about what the Trump administration is going to do about mental health crisis in America. I'm not sure what you can do.
Aligned with the president's vision and the secretary's vision to make our country healthy again, then we will gladly show them the door.
Caroline, can I just
go to the back.
Thank you, Caroline.
Go behind you, Andrew. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Caroline. The military deployment that President Trump has sent to the Caribbean Sea close to the shores with Venezuela is massive. It's much more that is needed to simply counter narcotics operations.
I don't fucking know that. I'm sorry to cuss you. It pisses me off, dude, when people start playing cutesy like this, dude. By the way, shout out to Phil Wegman. Guy's a stud. This guy right here. I'm gonna replay. Did you guys hear what that guy said? Don't tell us what's needed out there. Oh, it's more than the counter the cartels. You don't know shit, dude. I don't even know. But I'll tell you what, I would like to have more power than what I need. I'm going back, dude. Now I'm riled up. This guy's about to piss me off. Because I know these types of people, folks. Even this guy's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's massive. It's much Trump has sent to the Caribbean Sea.
Oh,
thank you, Caroline. The military deployment that President Trump has sent to the Caribbean Sea close to the shores with Venezuela is massive. It's much more that is needed to simply counter narcotics operations. Is President Trump considering launching military strikes to military installments or facilities in Venezuelan soil?
She's not going to tell you.
I won't get ahead of the president with respect to any military action or questions about that ever. But what I will tell you is that many Caribbean nations and many nations in the region have applauded the administration's counter-drug operations and efforts, and the president is prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. And as I've said from this podium before, the Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. Maduro is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this drug cartel. He has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into our country, and it is the utmost responsibility of this president and this administration to prevent the illicit flow of drugs into our country and to protect citizens from those deadly poisons. Right.
You know, because whenever I'm looking over here, right, that means I'm looking at the chat. Do you think these people, I know, please understand when I say these people, I'm not talking about everybody in that room. Do you just think they're stupid? I mean, really, I'm not trying to be an a-hole here. This is a huddle up, guys. This is a campfire chat. Come on, huddle up. Hud. I'm trying to figure it out because it almost seems like every year we do this, we've been doing this for almost 5 years. Every year, it just seems like some of these people in that room just get dumber. And as you heard, when the person asked the question, what did I immediately say? She's not going to answer that. So why are you wasting your time? And by the way, everybody else's time and her time asking a dumbass question when you know she's not going to answer it. Are you going to use it to go after military installations and military personnel? I'm in a closet. I'm literally in a closet that's like 6 foot by 6 foot. Never been to the White House. Well, I've been to it. I've never been inside it. Never went to school for journalism. I'm a teacher. Some would say that's a loser job. I don't think it is. But at least I could tell that's a stupid question and a waste of everybody's time. And by the way, answer it before even she does, and it wasn't even addressed to me. Sorry, I'm baffled here, guys. What's going on, Keith? Stupid, and they do not listen to each other or Caroline. Yeah, well, they all ask the same question. Maybe I'm just an asshole. I don't know. Like, for me, I understand you gotta be professional, but at some point I would, I go like this, I tap the mic to be silly. I would tap those mics, be like, hello, is this working? And I would call some people in that room stupid. Are you stupid to ask that question? Yes. Yes. Don't you love the bias there? Oh, it's way more firepower than you would need to go after the cartels. Gee, you a little biased for your country there, bud?
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions for you.
Sure.
Democrats, including former White House Press
man.
Secretary Jen Psaki and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, attacked prayer and pushed gun control in the aftermath of yesterday's shooting. What's the White House's response to their comments?
Yes, I saw the comments of my predecessor, Ms. Psaki, and frankly, I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer, who believe that prayer works, and who believe that in a time of mourning like this, when beautiful young children were killed while praying in a church, it's utterly disrespectful to deride the power of prayer in this country, and it's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves who need it right now more than ever.
My second question for you is that there have been media outlets who have glazed over the fact that the shooter was confused in their gender identity. Does the administration believe that this element needs to be investigated in the shooting?
Who the hell's asking this question? I'm trying to figure out where she's at. The microphone's pointed this way, but everybody's looking this way. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, I'm so sorry.
All of the elements are being investigated in the shooting, absolutely. Which is why part of the reason the FBI director came out and immediately confirmed that facet of the investigation. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions on two separate issues. First of all...
Okay. This guy right here, John, he's the one that asked that good question that one time about the tariffs and the sanctions on Russia and how that's like even going to impact them in any way, shape, or form. So I'm starting to like this guy a little bit because it seems like he's the only guy in the room to ask a pretty solid question in a while. So I'm going to listen up. Now, don't ruin this for me, John. I gave you the spotlight.
The drone and missile strikes that took place overnight in Ukraine. General Keith Kellogg, the president's special envoy, has described these attacks as egregious. Do you agree with that description, and do you view President Putin as an impediment to getting peace between these two countries?
Well, it's not about if I agree, it's about what the president thinks, and I know what the president thinks because I talked to him about this. He was not happy about this news, but he was also not surprised. These are two countries that have been at war for a very long time. Russia launched this attack on Kyiv, and likewise, Ukraine recently dealt a blow to Russia's oil refineries. They have taken out, as a matter of fact, 20% of Russia's oil refinery capacity over the course of their attacks throughout the month of August. So the president is continuing to watch this intently, and this killing, unfortunately, will continue as long as the war continues, which is why the president wants it to end. And that's why he's worked harder than anyone to end this war, which would have never started if he were president, but perhaps both sides of this war are not ready to end it themselves. The president wants it to end, but the leaders of these two countries need it to end and want it to end, must want it to end as well. And I think the president will make some additional statements on this later.
My second question has to do with... I just had one more, if I may. It has to...
Give him another one. I'm liking it. He's finally switching it up. Is the CDC director firing? Venezuela's warships are off the coast for cartel. Okay, finally, we're getting a little bit of good stuff here. It's about damn time somebody has their head on straight.
Do with the president's intention to remove Lisa Cook as a member of the Federal Reserve Board. He is going or acting upon allegations that have been made by Trump administration official Bill Pulte. These are just allegations. She hasn't been convicted yet of any crime. Is the administration opposed to allowing Ms. Cook to have due process, to challenge what has been alleged against her?
I believe she is challenging it. I believe she just filed a lawsuit today, and Mr. Pulte has deferred those allegations over to the Department of Justice to investigate them. What I will say is that you had these mortgage receipts very clearly shown to the president, and he has the cause that he needs to fire this individual. He laid it out in the letter that he provided to her and to the public as well. And so we'll continue to fight this battle. Carrie.
Hi, Caroline. So the president just announced that he wants to have a convention right before the midterms next year. The DNC has countered that they too want to have a convention right before the midterms as well. What's the White House's response to that? And can you give us just a little bit of a hint or a tease here as to how the president envisions a convention for the midterms?
Look, the president put out a statement on this earlier today. I'll let him speak further on the plans that he envisions, but I think he's very proud of the accomplishments and the achievements of his administration, as he should be, the most secure border in United States history.
They're talking about some sort of convention for the midterms.
A crackdown on crime here in our nation's capital, an attack or a reversal of the attack on our energy industry from the previous administration. As I just pointed out to you, gas prices today, this Labor Day, are the lowest they've been since Labor Day in 2020. Our economy is bringing in trillions of dollars in revenue from all over the world again. So there's so much for Republicans and for the president and for Americans across the country to be proud of. And I think the president wants to see that celebrated. But for any further details on this as they come, we'll provide you with them. Iris.
Thank you, Caroline. 2 questions on the shooting. What's the administration's message?
Bringing in trillions of
parents across the country who might be now worried about their kids' safety in light of the latest incident?
We completely and totally understand the concerns of parents across the country. This tragedy it's heartbreaking. As a parent myself, there are no words to describe just the heartbreak that these families must be enduring, which is why the president and the first lady have encouraged everyone to continue to pray for these families and these victims. And it's why this administration is focused on removing public safety threats from our communities. And in fact, I can share with all of you that last night in Washington, D.C., when arrests were being made, there was an arrest of a juvenile right here in D.C. in Ward 7 for threats to kidnap and injure, receiving stolen property, possession of a large capacity feeding device, unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition. A search warrant was executed, 7 firearms were recovered, and the juvenile was arrested after an investigation was initiated based on social media posts allegedly threatening violence towards a school. So this was a juvenile who was a risk to not just himself, but the community here in Washington, and he was removed from the community last night because of the law enforcement efforts of this administration. And I would also point to the statement of our wonderful First Lady that she released yesterday. She wrote, "The tragic mass killing in Minnesota illuminates the need for preemptive intervention in identifying school shooters. Early warning signs are often evident, with many individuals exhibiting concerning behaviors and making violent threats online prior to their actions. We encourage all Americans, as the old saying goes, if you see something, say something. If you see warning signs or threats, report it to law enforcement." This administration, federal law enforcement, will take those reports and those threats seriously. They will be treated as a law enforcement emergency, and we will act accordingly.
And on the First Lady's statement, would the administration consider ramping up resources on these fronts to parents and schools across the country to help them look into these signs and prevent more tragedies?
It's a very fair question, Iris. As for any potential...
I don't know if you need more resources necessarily in terms of, if we're talking about social media. I mean, everybody has social media. I mean, you have the most amount of resources you could possibly have. I mean, all these kids are on social media. It's really up to them if they see one of their schoolmates or some other juvenile kid acting amok to report it to the school. Nowadays, you can't joke around about this stuff nowadays. Like when we all grew up, you know what I mean? You can make like a joke about something and everybody be like, that's crazy. But the problem is there actually used to be mental institutions when we all grew up and the crazies were all locked up. Well, now they're all roaming the streets. And, you know, partially you thank Reagan for that. That was probably one of Ronald Reagan's worst mistakes. But we're dealing with it now. So now you just have these psychos just running amok with everybody else. And we're supposed to pretend like they're all normal. And by the way, you see this in the school system. You're supposed to pretend that a kid that's acting amok is completely normal rather than removing him from general society, meaning the general classroom, to somewhere else. In the same way, you're just supposed to pretend like, oh, that's completely normal that guy's doing something. I don't want to give an example because then I'm, judged.
Future policy decisions or funding questions. It's just been over 24 hours since this tragedy occurred. Right now we're focused on the FBI and their investigation and uncovering all the facts, and we'll leave those very important policy discussions to another day.
Thank you, Caroline.
Go ahead. Megan.
I had a question about the Lisa Cook lawsuit that you mentioned. Does the president...
Okay, we're going to talk about this real quick. Everybody get in. I'm going to fill up my cup really quick because there's ice in here. And I'm dehydrated because I went on my run before I did the show here. Okay. I'm tired of having to tell people how to do their job. Everybody got that? Okay. Here we are as patriots. We're all in the chat. Telling the reporters how they should do their job. I was telling Jen Psaki for 4 years how to do her damn job, and Karine Jean-Pierre. Part of this is dramatized, right? Part of my job is to make the White House press briefings a little bit fun and dramatized. You know, a little bit like The Office, maybe mixed with The West Wing. Okay. How does this work? You see Phil? Phil's a handsome looking guy. Okay. When that guy asks a question and you're the camera guy, what do? You zoom in on him. Kind of like you did with John. Let me go back really quick. Where was John's question? Where the hell you at, John? And the guy zoomed in, right? Watch. Here we go. Okay. This is the camera movement that needs to happen with like Philip Wegman and others. I'm gonna make a point here. But watch. Okay. He's talking. Great time right now. You start feeling the ambiance in the room and you zoom in. There you go. Pull tight on John. There you go. Right there. Okay. Perfect. It's all drama. It's the buildup, right? Now let's take this a little bit further here, a little bit later on. She's a rocket. Okay. She's good looking. So's our girl Kara. All right. And Margaret from the Daily Wire. Actually, all these right here is pretty bomb. Okay. So's our boy Phil. Look at Caitlin Collins. Not that bad. As I said, she needs to smile a little bit. You know, there's some handsome looking people in here. Pretty, you know, Jackie Heinrich's our babe. She's been our Wonder Woman for a while. All I'm saying is dramatize a little bit. Let's get some zoom ins here and make this a little bit of an effort going on. So whoever's the camera guy, hello. Let's do a little camera work here. Camera one, camera two. Camera one, camera two. All right.
To appoint her replacement.
I will leave that to the president to make that decision in that announcement himself. Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. Bouncing off the CDC, situation at CDC, I'm curious if administration officials are pushing back on the president's agenda, privately, publicly, however, should they fear to lose?
It's like he was listening to me. Did you see the zoom in? Now he's getting it. Like Judge Judy, put on your listening ears. Put on your listening ears. Okay, first of all, it should have been done with her and not him, but that's okay. He's handsome too. Let's go.
Lose their jobs going forward.
Look, I think if you're doing your job well, and if you are executing on the vision and the promises that the president made to the public who elected him back to this office, then you should have no fear about your job. Just do your job. That's what this president wants to see. He wants to see people solving problems. He wants to see the people who have the privilege of serving the American taxpayer and the federal government abiding by the wishes of the American taxpayers who overwhelmingly reelected him in this cabinet to make America great again, or in this case, make America healthy again.
On the Intel deal, where the U.S. got a stake in that company, there's two things I want to ask about that. The first is, what did the U.S. get back in return for that deal? And the second thing is, what are the future plans for giving any form of money to another company? It could be through the CHIPS Act, like this deal, or some other form of funds. What are the plans there by this White House administration?
Well, look, as you know, Brian, very well, because you cover it often, the Intel deal is still being ironed out by the Department of Commerce. The T's are still being crossed, the I's are still being dotted. It's very much still under discussion. But the president's thinking, I can share with you, is certainly to ensure that the United States government is making our country wealthy again and is benefiting from some of these deals. And it's a creative solution. I know it's outside the box thinking, which is uncommon in this city, but it's something that he proposed and something that the Secretary of Commerce is working on putting into action. Mary.
Yeah, she should have said in this city and in this room, thinking outside the box with the questions. Let's get something good in here.
Thanks, Caroline. I have a couple questions on the shooting yesterday. The first one, this is the second shooting involving a trans-identifying shooter who specifically targeted Christians and Catholic kids.
For the love of God, zoom in!
What kind of consequences do the gender-affirming therapists, doctors, or even the parents of these shooters face after these types of shootings?
Well, as for the parents and potential therapists in this case, again, all of that is still currently being investigated by the FBI. I know the Secretary of Health and Human Services this morning said that HHS is investigating perhaps links between some of these drugs and these prescription drugs that some of these minors may be taking and an increase in violence. And obviously we have mental health problems in this country that this administration and Secretary Kennedy will continue to speak out about.
Dude, did you know the current generation, I think it was a Gen Z or whatever, it's like 50% of them have mental health issues. 50. Crazy, man. Sad. It's terrible. I mean, we had a massive epidemic on our hands and nobody wants to address it. But by the way, you giving some kid medication isn't addressing it. It's just masking the problem. That's all it is doing.
And the work that we're doing to solve it.
Thank you. And just to follow up, I've seen a lot of calls for action, among these lawmakers saying.
Now he zooms in, but he did it wrong. You made the cut. The zoom in was already there. There's no drama there, man. There's no drama and build up. We need the drama. He had one job. Like Lulu said, he has one job. Get me in there. I'll tell you what, I'll be doing different camera angles. I'll pop up like 5 different cameras in that ceiling. I'll get you the side angle, the front angle, the zoomies in, the zoomies out. Bada beep, bada boop. Take care of you.
Saying that we shouldn't just be praying. Follow up. I've seen a lot of calls for action, among these lawmakers saying that we shouldn't just be praying. One that I've seen on the right actually is calls for the FBI to institute a new class of domestic terrorism that involves trans ideology. Is that something that the administration would support?
I would have to check with the appropriate people on that.
Daniel.
Dude, that's a question. Damn. Oh boy, the trans community would not like that one, wouldn't they? Oh boy.
Karoline, we saw some new revised economic data come out today showing the U.S. economy grew at a 3.3% clip, largely buoyed by a surge in capex. What's the White House reaction to this, and is this sort of the president's vision beginning to come to life after the Big Beautiful Bill was passed in July?
Yes, I mean, look, we did say that once the Big Beautiful Bill was signed into law, we're going to see the effects of this massive pro-growth piece of legislation. As I laid out for you as we head into the Labor Day weekend, there's many positive economic indicators that the American people can be hopeful about. But don't forget, we are reversing 4 years of reckless spending from the previous administration, of slamming regulations down the throats of American business.
Yeah, see, so Kenneth says she's hot. Dang. Are you talking about Margaret? There's a few rockets in there. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty women in there for sure. Margaret's like natural. Margaret's one of those women that are just naturally beautiful. Like Karoline, right? She's not wearing a ton of makeup. There's some women that are just naturally beautiful. They don't need a lot of makeup, nor should they.
Business owners and consumers across the country, but the administration is working very hard to unravel all of that and to ensure that small business owners and workers are thriving and that they have more money in their own pockets to spend. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Caroline. Back on the CDC, there was reporting that some of the initial problems between RFK and the CDC.
We're still on the CDC thing. Bro, that was like 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago, and we're still on it.
Director stemmed from miscommunications or differences on vaccine policy. So I wonder if you could just say whether or not the president believes that the COVID vaccine should be available to and covered by insurance for all Americans, regardless of age and pre-existing conditions.
What I will tell you is that the FDA recently revoked the emergency use authorizations for 3 COVID vaccinations while simultaneously greenlighting 4 new COVID-19 vaccines with 2025 and 2026 formulas. The reason for the revocation of that emergency use authorization is because obviously the COVID pandemic and the public health emergency is over. But just to correct the record, because there's been a lot of misinformation on this, the FDA's decision does not affect the availability of COVID vaccines for Americans.
You're wondering what I'm doing? I'm knocking on the wall. Because when I put my head through it, I don't want, I want to go between the wood frame. I don't want to hit my head into the wood frame. So if you're curious what I'm doing, I'm just knocking on the wall because I want to figure out where the studs are at so my head goes between it because I'm at that point.
who want them. We believe in individual choice. That's a promise both the president and the secretary have made, and it's a promise they have now delivered on.
Question if I could, Caroline. Question if I could. Sorry. I wonder if you could answer why the president hasn't acknowledged the shooting at CDC headquarters that took place earlier in August, where a police officer was killed, and it was reported that the motivation for the shooting was somebody who was really unhappy with the effects of the COVID vaccine.
I can't do it, man. Are we in the realm where the president of the United States is just supposed to address every shooting? Are we just supposed to address every single shooting that there is? Because Chicago, the president would be up there every day making a comment about it. And by the way, that's an unrealistic expectation for Joe Biden, too.
We absolutely were very much aware of that shooting. The Secretary of Health and Human Services put out a statement immediately. He was in touch with the CDC, and he actually traveled to Georgia to assess the situation and to mourn with the people who work in that building there. So, Caroline, go ahead.
With respect to Labor Day, one of the most underrepresented groups right now are police officers. 30,000 police officers short in America right now. To Brandon's question, 1,300 short in Chicago, 3,000 short in New York, 500 short here in Washington, D.C. What can the White House, what can the president do to help recruitment of police officers who've done well with the military and Border Patrol? What can be done to get more police officers on the streets of America?
Well, stop throwing them in jail for them doing their job. Why would you, why on God's green earth would you incur that type of risk? You're already incurring the risk of your life on the line, but now when you protect your life, well, you get thrown into the brig. So let's see. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't blame people one bit for not wanting to be police officers. There's a reason why I'm not a cop. My family told me not to become cops because they were cops.
The president has certainly been very successful in recruiting federal law enforcement. If you look at the ICE recruitment campaign that was led by he and our Secretary of Homeland Security, we've seen more than, I believe, 130,000 applicants to join ICE, which is just amazing. There's more applicants now than there are jobs to fill, and we're very grateful for that. Clearly, Americans want to serve their communities. They just need a leader who encourages them to do so. So maybe Governor Pritzker should spend less time demonizing the police, more time trying to recruit more police, and more time trying to call the president of the United States to get crime in his city under control. The president wants to allow law enforcement, whether it's state, local, federal, to do their jobs, to arrest criminals, to put them behind bars, and to remove public safety threats from American communities. He'll continue to do that. Thank you, guys.
I wonder why she does her briefing so short. In some sense, I'm kind of glad because I really... The questions are so dumb. Not everybody's, right? There's some good ones, but it's like this is the best we got as reporters. These people went to college for that stuff, man. That's the crazy part. Mark Warner, right after a trans lunatic murdered Christian children, now is not the time for thoughts and prayers. What's this all about? So what you guys are referring to in the chat? I saw some people talk about this.
I'm sure you've all heard about one more of these tragedies that took place in Minneapolis today. The mayor said it best. This is not a time for thoughts and prayers. These kids were praying. The bullshit we get of like, let's lower our flags. How much more of this before we recognize that sensible gun restrictions have to be out there? Don't give me the kind of normal crap of excuses. These were kids in a church praying at a Catholic school. Is this really who we are, America?
Typical Democrat shouting stuff to the skies. I think this is a Democrat, I imagine, but just shouting stuff to the skies, but no actual solutions, right? Just common sense gun reform, common sense gun laws, but never list actually what they are and how they're common sense and how they would have actually stopped that tragedy from happening in the first place. Because every firearm that guy purchased was legal, from my understanding. How would you have stopped it? Because it's very easy to shout stuff, right? Like, I could shout anything I want. Armadillo! Look at that. I could shout stuff. Doesn't mean anything. Racism! Wow. Jackass. There's one. The guy on the screen. Not myself. That guy. By the way, what's the community saying on this one? I gotta go to the community. I hope they're ripping this guy a new one. Yep. It's pretty funny. Oh boy. Translation: because F freedom of religion if you're a Christian. Interesting. Let's ask Mark Warner if he will bring up a bill as soon as possible to ban all trans drugs. Just curious, this type of happening was not a thing when Gen X finished high school. We got a lot of Gen X in the chat, which is true. So there's a starting point to find a solution because, yes, it is a problem. Mental health is a massive problem in this country. But this is what happens when you allow psycho people to run free into the streets and just pretend that things are normal when they're not. And by the way, if you don't pretend into their fantasies and play pretend with them, then what they will go do is delete you. This is the worst way to capitalize politically on this tragedy. He's trying to downplay the evil of transgender violence. Maybe Warner should rethink pushing transitioning on children and promote therapy to address gender dysphoria. Yeah, that's terrible. Jesus. Was that the video you guys were talking about? Jason's in the chat. So Jason with the $10. I'll see if I have it in my voice, man. I've been teaching all week. He said, sweet Carolina on dark motherfucking MAGA. Woo! I have to be very careful with my voice. I am losing it, but thank you for the $10, dude. Appreciate it. I mean, I've drinking like 3 of these already in front of you guys, but I'm starting to have that sexy deep voice. But you know what it reminds you of? What is that? You guys remember that Outback Steakhouse commercial? You know what I mean? We're out here on the plain of Montana with a nice 6-ounce filet. And then he takes the match and he lights it on his beard. It's Outback Steakhouse. Every Wednesday, get that coupon. Or something stupid. I don't know why I said get that coupon. But you know what I mean. Oh, boy. All righty. Well, I think we'll end it there. We've been streaming for an hour. And I am losing my voice as we speak, which is not a good thing because we have a show tomorrow morning as well. And I have to teach all day tomorrow. But my voice is going out if you can't tell already. But thanks for always hanging out. And shout out to Karoline for putting the media in their place and Jen Psaki for trying to make it seem like Thoughts and Prayers is a bad idea. And screw Mark Warner, by the way. Thoughts and Prayers are important. Again, I'm not going to bother trying to repeat myself. I just don't understand why people don't get what thoughts and prayers are for, but whatever. In fact, we didn't have this problem 20 years ago. Yeah, I mean, we did, not to the scale it is now, right? I mean, there was Columbine in 99. That would be 20 years ago. But I know, like, when we were kids, it wasn't a massive problem, but mental health is just crazy. And I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why. It's something I have to research. But anyway, see you guys tomorrow morning. Thank you for joining me for Dark MAGA. By the way, thank you to everybody that donated. Keith, I think Kathleen donated as well. Thank you to everybody. By the way, shout out to the mods for being here and always keeping the people in line. Let me tell you, they're the police of Bald Brad Show. So I appreciate them. And by the way, thank you for always joining me here on the show itself. With that being said, bless all of you. And thank you for always hanging. But I know I always say this, and please, I don't want you guys ever to get numb to this. I genuinely do mean this. I love hanging out with you guys. I really, really do. Because there's no upside in the sense of we're not like doing this as a living. There's a lot of risk involved. I absolutely love hanging out with all of you. That's what makes this show great is you guys. Appreciate you. See you tomorrow morning here on the Bald Brad Show, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Here we go, baby. See you later.